Well, crap, they broke a driver. And two pieces don't work real well when you want to make a driver. So how do we get rid of all this in order so that you can make your driver into one piece again? Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is where we talk about golf club reviews, fittings, and repairs, all so your scores can go low. If you would, like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom. That way this stuff gets out to the YouTube universe. Also, we have live stream on Mondays at 17:30 or 5:30 Eastern time on the YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn if you want to go there. And we talk about the same exact stuff. It's just one-on-one. It's a very cool community. It stretches from coast to coast into Europe and the whole 9 yards. Join us. It's a pretty good conversation. Okay. So, buddy of mine brings in a driver like this. All right, driver like this, and he brings in an adapter like that. And I said, it's really hard to play golf when the golf club is in two pieces on accident, not on purpose. And he goes, very much so, can you help me out? And I said, certainly I can. So what I'm going to show you guys here in just a bit is a couple of different ways of getting to this, or at least different ideas for it. Now, this is not the only way to go do it, and it's really based on the tools that you have on hand. All right, so the big key here initially is the application of heat. All right, the application of heat on both of these. So how do we do this? And that's really the trick of this trade, is how do we use the application of heat? And then how do we remove all the rest of this stuff? So that's what we're going to talk about. But in order to do that, we have to go to the bench. So let's go there. All right, shameless plug time. I'm getting ready to put in a Acura Shogun shaft into an adapter for an ex-college basketball coach who does a lot of golfing, and he has a very aggressive swing, and this thing's going to work really good for him. All right, on to that. So a couple of things that we're going to need, because I said application of heat, is we are going to need some gloves. All right, you're going to need some welding gloves or whatever you use to get away from the heat. Now the first one is going to be a fairly straightforward thing. We got to apply some heat in here in order for the epoxy bond to break. So how do we do that? First, we got to see that he's on D1, so we know that. And we got to take this thing apart. Also allows me to get all the dirt out. All right. So this is what it looks like. All right, you may not, it's pretty fuzzy probably, but it's just basically an adapter, and it's got a bunch of broken shaft in it. So we get to D1. So what I want to do here is I want to heat up this section so that it will release easier, because the next step is basically messy. Alrighty, so that's the reason for the use of this glove, is to get some heat on it. All right, we got that. And then I want to do is drop the cog. This is where things get kind of dicey, is you want to get it up in here. Okay, so what we did is we heated the adapter. The adapter maintains heat. It's made out of aluminum, and now we have to step drill it out. So I'm going to move you back just a little bit. Step drilling is exactly what it sounds like. You take a smaller drill, make yourself a starter hole, and then you find your way into a bigger drill. So one of the things we got to look at here, take a couple of steps at least, is that about a 5/16 inch drill will take it out. You see how that stuff is coming out here? So that's the idea, is that and that's one of the other reasons for having the glove, is because getting that graphite all over it just makes you itch for days. And we'll try and get this out of it. There, and you know you're breaking it free. So what you're doing is you're creating heat on the inside as well as the outside, and that step drill, when you start making that heat on the inside, will help break free all that epoxy, and then it gives you something very, very clean to deal with. Then you come back with a wire brush to clean out the work. Make sure you get it all. There we go. And you'll be able to see, hopefully be able to see this. You may or may not be able to. It gets in there. But it actually is very, very clean. Very nice and easy way of doing things. Now, as part of the process of giving them a good club back, you want to clean this up. There we go. It's a much better shape than it was when it came to me. It got a nice clean hull, so we just now need a ferrule to put in it and we can glue our club together. The next one's going to be kind of tougher, and what we have here is a Callaway adapter, and you see that little mushroom shaped looking piece. That's an indicator that it's older. This is a newer one, so if you look them together, there they are. Okay, newer, older. This can go into the new ones, and the old ones, this can't. All right, so number one is, on the other one, is you got to make sure you have a Titleist driver adapter ferrule, and then that can go together fine. Now this one, I don't have a head to hold on, so just exactly how we're going to make this one work. Plus, we're going to give ourselves a little extra look-see, and what we're going to try and do is save that ferrule. That one's going to be the challenge of the day. So the very first thing I want to do is, I'm not sure if I want to keep this or not, but we got to heat it back up. So the idea here is, this is a plastic piece, and typically it can come off just like that. So now we've got a plastic piece that we're not going to expose to the heat. We'll save that around somewhere else. And so we're going to heat up in this area. We're going to move the cog. Ooh, the cogs come off. That makes it even easier. Cogs are normally held on. So now it's getting easier. We're going to heat up this area, and then we got to hold on to it and drill it out from the side. So let's get started with that one. Okay, so I'm going to hold it on the piece that I don't want to get heated. Normally, if you were holding on to this and you had it on the head, you could put about 30 seconds worth of heat, maybe 45, and get away with it. However, in this case, since I'm moving it around quite a bit and I'm moving it from station to station, I'm going to give it a few more seconds. And we're going to hold on to it because we want to get this, we want to get that, the part right next, we don't want to get the ferrule. And I did. So we're going to get rid of the ferrule now. Alrighty, that's just one way of doing it. Okay, so now we're going to go over to a vise and we'll show you that. Okay, I have a speed clamp here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up one more time because we had to do a lot of chasing around with the camera. and the fact that I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not just waiting a little bit, and because now I got to go get a ferrule. That just disappoints me in a whole bunch. So now we're going to put it in here. So you didn't get to see that, but all right. So now we're just going to heat up the ferrule. And try and get rid of it. And that's going to change my thinking of how to get this thing undone. There we go. The thing with the ferrule is that it's very, very hard, and it likes to grab. And I'm a lefty, so this kind of looks kind of funky because I'm doing it right-handed. There we go. All right, that's what we want. So we're going to a little bit more heat again. And we're going to try and twist it out of here first. All right, so first we're going to just try and grab it with a pair of pliers and just see if we can't twist it out. And this is going to take some time. Nope, it's not going to be enough. So I'm going to take it out. I'm going to sand this piece off. Okay, so you have to get, we're now leaving the idea of trying to twist it out, and we are going to, we're going to heat it up and drill it out. But the big thing here is you got to be able to hold on to it. And that's what the clamp here is for. Now, could you use something else? Yes, you could use the jaws of this thing. However, I wouldn't recommend it because they will leave some serious marks on the adapter, although it may not be, it won't be seen, but that's not what you want to do. So we're going to heat it up one more time. So ideally here is what you want to do is put it into another head to be able to drill it out. We don't have that, so we're going to have to use the vise. Let's start with the small one again. Now the worst part about this is that this is my clean side, and getting all this graphite is not my favorite thing to do. There's one. There's two. I don't know if you can see all that stuff coming out, but now the last one. There's that stuff came out, but that doggone ferrule is still causing me stress, so let's try and get it out now. There we go. Just that last little bit. Let's get that out of there. There we go. Now let's try and get the rest of that out. There we go. Let's get it now with this guy. And let's see if it's still hot. Just a little bit. So we're going to use this again. All right, we got it stepped out and we got it cleaned out. All right, now the problem here that we've done is that we've got the outside kind of yucky because of the heat that's come on it. So now we got to polish this piece off. It's not hot anymore, and what we did is this stuff got kind of, I call it bruising, but when the heat and the flame get on it, it tends to discolor it or leave that almost charred look about it, and it's just easy to polish off because it's an aluminum piece. So now we've got that. I kept these two together. We know how that goes on. We press our little plastic piece back on, and now we have an adapter, and their adapter is ready to be glued, right? And that's what we're looking for. What we're really looking for is how did we get to the point where we can glue, and that's what that did. So it's literally step drilling. Now the one I was trying to show you is if you had enough shaft that maybe it broke maybe an inch above the hosel, that kind of stuff, you can typically grab that with a pair of pliers or maybe even vice grips, and if you got enough heat in the adapter you can just twist it and it'll break free and you can pull it back out. That's the other two places. So step drilling is obviously the most common way to do that. If you had a bunch of shaft, you use a shaft puller. If you have a little bit of shaft, maybe a pair of pliers. And that's the way to go. So now we're ready to make this golf club one piece again so that they can go enjoy it. So if you like this content, hey, hit a like and subscribe and put it down in there. If you got any questions, put them in there. Again, watch us on the live stream. And as always, let's see your scores go low.